So we're here at the Binance event in Brussels, and lots of people are here. And but it's interesting to meet the people behind it. What's your name and where do you come from?
I'm Lyudmyla. I came from occupied territory of Crimea by Russian fortresses, and I live here in Belgium actually because I cannot live in Crimea because of my human rights activity. We organized human rights monitoring mission on the very beginning of occupation of Crimea. Our volunteers even were taken as hostages. We were asked to release them.
Yeah, but that before you talk, let's first step back, okay? What happened before 2014? Because I mean, Crimea was, of course, the people spoke Russian there. There were good how were the connections at that moment in 2010, maybe, between Russia and Crimea?
So you need to remember that Crimea is a very specific was from the very beginning because actually it was hard to speak even Ukrainian while you were in a past. There was little schools in Ukrainian because there was always tension that Russian fortress, they put pressure for everyone who was pro-Ukrainian. As a pro-Ukrainian activist, was fighting to withdraw agreement with Russian fortress at that time, since 2004 and since 2006. And for this reason, I was persecuted. I had to move from the country.
So you say there was pressure from Russia to not speak Ukrainian in the Crimea?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, and there was a discussion between the parliamentarians and also discussion between presidents. At that time it was Yushchenko president who wanted first time to withdraw Russian fortress from Crimea. And this was 2006-2007 in Ukraine. And then since there was a lot of protest, basically youth from the across of the country came to Crimea, said that it's Ukraine, you have not right to violate our rights. There was some kind of...
But weren't there also a lot of people who were just thought that they felt more Russian, they felt more Russian culture? I mean, there were Russian language was very dominant there.
I have to say that my first language is Russian, but on my example you would understand that I was limited with possibility to learn Ukrainian because there was no book. I was not able to buy book in Ukrainian.
You lived in Ukraine and it was it was made possible, and you think that was the influence from the Russian government which basically tried to dominate that?
Yes, they even tried to change the time here, you know, so they wanted to have time in Crimea like in Moscow. Lushkov, he came to Crimea, to Sevastopol, saying it's our land. And this was childhood, you know.
Politicians of Crimea were really on the hand of the Russian connection.
They were in the pockets. They were in the pockets, absolutely.
Okay.
And people
so then,
who were trying to oppose to these people, they lost their jobs, they were beaten, they were persecuted. So this was our reality.
So it started way before 2014 and way before 2021.
And especially it was affected with Crimean Tatars who was fighting really hard for their rights, especially because of deportation, forcibly deportation. But actually thanks to this youth and actually local protesters, especially business representatives, they were financing, for example, Orange Revolution, they were supporting Euromaidan. So if you look into the scenery, a lot of people from Crimea, like also my brother, they supported opposition towards to the local corruptive governments.
But how big was that opposition? So you look very activist, you are very passionate, but if you look at 100% of the people, how many people there do you think did not want to have this dominant role of Russian and in the country?
You have to think always from the perspective how much can show up. Because it's the same like in every authoritarian state, and this was like state in the state. No one is going to show up if you are going to be a victim of repression. And if you speak in the kitchen, you want to have this kind of democracy, right? But if you go to protest, then not every single of you are going to show up. This is the problem.
No, that is true. But I mean, if you would give me your own honest idea of what percentage of people said, hey, we don't want this domination of the Russian. What percentage of people said, hey, Russian is important for us?
I think we have to look into the figures, how many were escaped from Crimea just after occupation. It's more than 2 million people.
Yeah, that's from the total, how many people live there?
It's more than 4 million. So it's like...
So half of the people left.
And actually afterwards, a lot of Russian came. So who came? It's from basically Kadyrov circles from Chechnya. It's from basically the most hard, let's say, with human rights situation from Russian region. They fill the places. They basically came to your property and say, okay, it's mine now.
Okay, yeah, because there were 2 million people who left, so a lot of properties were just for the grabs.
They said it's it's not anymore Ukraine. They took control on the passports, on all the documentation. They change everything. So, for example, you have your document, which was in the local authorities, and then it's already Russian authorities. So they can issue every single paper, and you would never won a court proving that it's your property.
It then happened 2014, and they basically came and to occupied it. What was that for you? You go like, holy cow, what am I going to do now? Or I'm going to fight? Or what was your feeling?
I have to say that for us, those who were living in at that time, families, my family lived at the time in Sevastopol, in Crimea, and my friend there, we were thinking that something is going to be prepared even on autumn 2013. So a lot of businessmen, they already they left or started to transfer their funds abroad, or started to support civil society. For example, my brother, many of his friends, a lot of our friends, basically all Ukrainians and all Crimean Tatars, we started to gather funds to inform international community that occupation of Crimea can happen.
You saw it coming. You really saw it coming. It felt very clear.
Yes, because of rising of number of military, how they shape basically relations, everything. And actually, the first day when it's happened, for example, a lot of my friends, they were doing streaming next to military bases, showing that it's not like was free referendum, that it was under everything guns.
You felt really it was very dominated, because there was this wonderful free election where huge percentage of people say, yes, we want to be part of Russia.
Yeah, but
were you there too during that election?
Actually, I organized international mission to Crimea to prove that it was absolutely under pressure.
Okay.
And my volunteers, Open Dialogue Foundation volunteers, our observers were kidnapped by Russian fortresses. And then it was for us a huge task to release them. My brother, a lot of my friends, one of them was actually Oleg Sentsov, one of the most prominent person who became afterwards political prisoner. And after 6 years, he was released. We advocate for him. So he was severely tortured. A lot of people were actually killed from our community who actually gathered proof that it was absolutely not free referendum. And I think reply for your question, for what extent...
And you must have been very frustrated, because the rest of the world said, okay, this is a Russian area, everybody speaks Russian, okay, we don't agree, but they did not give sanction, they did a little bit of sanction. Were you disappointed about the international reaction?
Actually, I was one of those who created this international reaction, so I'm not disappointed, I'm quite realistic. What is happening now, I'm also realistic. So at that point, of course, you can do more force to international community, but at the end of the day, no one is recognized that Russia has the right to occupy Crimea. Of course, it was not enough reaction, but at least no one recognized it. Then we will succeed anyway to release a lot of political prisoners. Then we succeed to put sanctions, but of course it's not enough. Now it's fight for us as Ukrainians to have as much as possible military equipment to be able to protect not only Ukraine, actually safety of Ukrainian and European borders. Because if you don't stop dictator, which is so crazy in this land, he will go everywhere. Because who is going to stop?
Because the reaction was relatively mild to the annexation.
It's true.
He thought, well, I can just topple the regime in a couple of days and then arrange it and then basically take the east of the country and the south. Do you think he will be disappointed how much reaction he got?
If now Ukraine receive fast needed military equipment, he will be really disappointed, because you see Ukrainians basically break all of these kind of illusion that we are going to be destroyed as a country in 2 days. No, for us this war started 8 years ago. For me, as a person from Sevastopol, I lived in close border until beginning of 20s to 2020. So it's completely other picture for people who is outside of Ukraine and those who are living there, who are fighting there. We have a lot to lose, so we are going to defend our land, but we need to have enough equipment.
You need to have enough equipment, that's pretty clear. What do you think of the reactions of the Germans, the French, the English, the Americans? How happy are you? How satisfied are you about the level of support you're getting now?
I have to say that we have to stop talking. We have to receive real equipment arriving to Ukraine.
And it doesn't happen?
Not really. No, unfortunately, no.
Everybody talks. We're going to send like the Dutch. We're going to send these rockets. We're going to send this. We're going to send that. And our stuff doesn't arrive.
The biggest actually support comes from US, UK, Norway, Denmark. Something comes from France, something. But from Germany, we have like Scholz promise, which is a lot of talk and nothing happened.
And the Netherlands?
Yeah, it's at some point, but we also understand what kind of equipment can come from here and from bigger countries like Germany, France, and Italy, how they're capable to block stuff,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have to face this reality.
About 5 years from now, where will Ukraine stand?
I think it's going to be a new order where we would be not only back with our territory but with other shape of Russia, because this kind of state where is no moral, where is no kind of dignity, where people just use the war as a tool to stole washing machine, toilets or something like this,
Sure.
and destroy lives just because they are absolutely low morals. They have no right to form the future.
Yeah, but what I mean is, you wanted to be part of Russia, part of Europe, excuse me. But everybody's saying, well, Ukraine is a little bit too corrupt and the states are not functioning the right way, and there's all kinds of oligarchs. Is it changing? Does this war change Ukraine? So because everybody is now sympathetic, everybody is now positive, everybody receives you, everybody wants to give you, support you. Will this change the relationship with your country and Europe?
Yes, I think so, but I need to point out that this positive relation to Ukraine comes first of all to people, not to our government, who is unfortunately, yes, at some point corruptive, but it represents the strong feeling and actually action of people who were capable to organize humanitarian aid while the state was not doing it. We unfortunately had some kind of problems why Russian came to our land so quickly to, basically passing by all the south of Ukraine. So there are open questions why it was so fast, who was responsible for the defending of this territory.
Yeah.
But at the same time, our politicians, Ukrainian, they know that people are not going to forgive it. We are going to ask for it. We are not criticizing them publicly now, but we are checking what they are doing with every single euro and dollar right now, because it's our lives. Okay? You understand my message?
I understand the message. So, somebody basically who's controlling everybody, the European government, the Ukraine government, and everybody to basically make sure that you can
I'm
protect.
just one voice of Ukrainians who is actually trying to be as a part of big, kind of, let's say, team who is really understanding that if we are not fighting for our countries, no one is going to do our work.
Okay.
So yeah, a lot of Ukrainians. But I want to thank to Binance because while the first days of the war, our financial system was shrinking and banks just basically were frozen.
Yeah.
And financial system of the EU also was thinking what to do. They were waiting. We used Bitcoin and actually Binance to be able fast transfer for every part of the world to be able to collect money.
Hundreds of millions, huh?
No, not. It's your support.
Hundreds of billions,
I'm speaking about my as NGO as Open Dialogue Foundation.
Oh, as an open, okay.
And small other volunteers. So until the moment you started to do it, we as a volunteer started to use your system, your infrastructure to save lives. And then we sought huge support from Binance actually for hundreds of millions. So on the second day of the war, we were capable to buy 100 bulletproof vests and helmets thanks to crypto, especially Bitcoin and Bitcoin terminals and actually exchanges where we were capable to sell it at a good price and then deliver it to our bank account. So we want to thank to Binance be able to do so.
Okay. Hey, good luck. I hope it comes out well, and it's good that you are fighting for your country in your own way while your countrymen are doing it in your country. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much.